So, on January 13th, 2012, the Costa Concordia was out on the water. It was pretty normal for her to leave Italy and set off. She'd visit beaches in quite a few countries, and after a week, she'd be back. That night, everything looked just as it should. The passengers, well, they were having a fancy dinner below decks, music playing, everyone enjoying themselves. Suddenly, though, out of nowhere, a ship-shaking explosion echoed through the vessel, startling all 4,252 passengers. Obviously, the music stopped, and folks, who'd just been happy, were now filled with fear. Everyone wanted to know what was going on, because, let's be honest, it was definitely strange. Then, over the speakers, a voice came on. "Say there's a small electrical problem. Don't worry," it said. "A small problem with the electricity is being taken care of." Sadly, that wasn't the real story. The ship was in much worse shape than anyone let on. As the ship slowly tilted, water began to pour inside. People heard that everything was fine, but some wanted to take charge and called for everyone to return to their rooms, thinking things would soon be back to normal. After about 30 minutes, though, it was clear nothing was normal. The ship lost control and leaned heavily to one side. Passengers rushed to the lifeboats, trying to get away quickly, but the ship was sinking so fast that the crew struggled to lower the lifeboats. People started jumping into the sea to escape, while others stayed on board, hoping it would be safer. In those moments, with screaming, fear and chaos all around, reality hit hard. The dream trip had turned into a nightmare. But, no one had said if they were safe. Did they get saved? Because, honestly, the situation was bad. So, what made the crew try to calm people down, telling them everything was fine? The biggest question really is what happened. What caused that explosion? To get to the bottom of it, we need to understand the ship itself and what these questions really mean. And where was the captain when the ship went down? Let's dig in. Let's go back a few years. The Costa Concordia was launched on September 2nd, 2005. There was a whole launch service for her. She was built before she ever touched the ocean in Genoa around 2004. Designed in Italy, this ship was a blend of modern Italian style and technology, packed with all sorts of fancy features. You could imagine the luxuries: swimming pools, banquet halls, movie theatres and screens everywhere you looked. And just to give you an idea of her size, she was 290 metres long, about the length of 3 football fields. Her height reached 52 metres, which, if you stand in front of a 17-storey building, that's about it. She could carry 1,100 crew members and 3,780 passengers. The ship and her crew were sold to the Italian cruise line Costa for $612 million, meant for cruises and trips from Italy to Spain and France. The captain was from Greece and Turkey, but the first voyage was led by Captain Francesco. By 2006, the Costa Concordia had become the most famous cruise ship in the world, visiting many places and carrying hundreds of thousands of tourists, until, well, you know. The fateful journey started on January 11th, 2012. The ship was crossing the Mediterranean, and the whole trip was meant to last 7 days. The route took the ship to Civitavecchia, an Italian port, after 2 days. That night, the ship was getting ready to head out again, passing by Sofu on its way to Safu, right between 2 islands up ahead. Italy controls the island on the right, and the left island is called Giglio. There's a red path the ship was supposed to follow around Giglio Island, but the captain, well, he took the ship off course. The blue line shows the ship suddenly turning sharply toward Giglio Island. This sort of thing, honestly, isn't unheard of. Sometimes ships get close to the shore to give passengers a better view and to greet the locals. But this time, the captain made a huge mistake and veered off the main course. While the ship was headed for the island, Captain Francesco was actually in the dining hall with his girlfriend, someone he'd brought along without any official ties or reservations. At that moment, it was a maritime navigation officer steering the ship. The captain might have thought everything was normal, trusting his officers to handle things. When he returned to the control room, though, He found that the navigation officer had charted the wrong course. Now, in theory, it's not too hard to change a ship's coordinates. You can redirect a ship, but it needs to be done in time. Unfortunately, it was too late. The ship was going the wrong way and, well, it was now only 800 meters from the island. "Don't worry, Uncle, it's a long way from the island," someone said. "But just to be clear, 800 meters really isn't that far." And so here's what happened as the ship went past the waters near Giglio. No, there is a rocky area under the water about 800 meters from the beach. The beach itself is 800 meters away. The ship's coordinates were wrong. I put it in this rocky area with 2 caps. The ship made the navigation officers quickly steer away. "Don't go near the rocks until something happens." Something did happen, but it was too late. The ship hit a big rock and broke it. Big, as you thought at the time. The crack let water get into the generators. The ship's power went out because the lights went out. When the power goes out, passengers get scared. The people who were on board were in the dining room. The videos in front of you show people who are already on the bus. The event and the light in front of you. Crew for backup generators. The crew of the ship calmed the passengers down when they saw how scared they were, told passengers that everything is fine. To think about the bigger water problem, it goes in. The boat. Mishkul, mishkul. The light under the bridge was always underwater. When the ship sank completely, Costa Cruises, the company that owned it, got a distress signal to the ship owner Costa Cruises completely. When the Coast Guard goes to Giglio Island, they saw the ship from a distance and got nervous. It's not common for the ship to be dark. It had most of its lights off, but to stop the scandal from getting worse, the ship's captain told the Coast Guard that things wouldn't get worse. After that, we have a small electrical problem. The captain gets word right away that there are 7 important rooms, like the engine room and the electrical room. The rooms with electricity were all underwater. The ship leaned more than 10 degrees. Water got into several of the passenger cabins. People were on board when the ship drifted. Captain Aiken was away from Giglio when he turned around and came back because the ship was going down. Once Giglio goes down, rescue efforts can start. Passengers are easier to save when the ship comes back to the island. It slowly made its way onto the ship. The ship leaned over more, and during those times the Costa Concordia had a hard time. No one from Fate, though. The business chose disaster over call for help or say there is an emergency. To save their ship, they thought about something else. They were also worried about the company's reputation. They didn't want to admit the problem because they wanted to protect their reputation. Stalling and putting things off costs lives. There were 4,252 people waiting on the ship. While passengers were on board, save them. As they tried to get away, the water was taking the ship. The company's choice was clear. She had the ship. Even though the results are bad, we keep our image. It was hard at 10:35. The captain tells everyone to leave the ship. The alarm inside goes off right away. Life jackets were put on by the ship and the people on board. If the worst happens, and there are many, people started getting on lifeboats to go out to sea. The ship at 11 o'clock. A ship can tilt 25 degrees, of course. This big means no hope. Save the ship as it tilts more. The crew of the ship forgot how to launch lifeboats. The Coast Guard on Giglio Island. The radar picked up the Costa Concordia ship. The Concordia was sinking and rescue teams rushed to help. Rescue helicopters to catch up. Focus on the people on the ship. That time, people on the ship who hadn't, they walked because they couldn't get to the lifeboats. He jumps onto the ship, as you can see. The water and rescue teams from the island of Giglio was getting people off. Francesco, the ship's captain, was supposed to be present to oversee the rescue. But they discovered he was the first person on a lifeboat. He was saved and is now on Giglio. You picture the captain sitting down in the middle of all that noise. Dinner with his girlfriend, who was to blame for it. This person was the first to survive in a lifeboat. A lifeboat makes me think of someone who has the same. If you don't know who I'm talking about, these are the traits. You can see who I'm talking about in the video. Of course, the Coast Guard commander found out that the captain of the Costa Concordia ran away. The ship's captain spoke to the Coast Guard. "Captain, good night. De Falco from Livorno talks. Good evening, Commander. Please tell me your name. Sco, people are born on board. Now she follows to the right of the ship's prow. Right there is, she climbs the biscuit and the boards, comes on the ship and walks up to me. How many people are there? I'm clear and recording, talking to each other. Boss, so talk loudly. Now I'm here, commander of the ship. Say this to me. I saw people when the ship got there. Hey, people are getting off the bus. That bus is going the other way. Goes back, gets on the ship and tells me how many people and their things. Tell me about kids, women or people who need help and gives me their numbers. Numbers for each of these. Guarded comic book. She might have been saved from the ocean. I don't know how to handle it. The problems went through my soul. Board, damn commander, please. I'll help you, Commander. I'll be in charge of the rescue. Coordinates rescue on board. No, she won't do it. Not me, you're refusing. Wouldn't get on board, Commander. Please explain why. I'm going because I'm not going. She stopped the other boat. Is ordered to board, but knows it's too dark here to see anything. Scobrio wants to go home. Go home. Those who have made it this far should sign up to get 00000 followers. Use the channel and bell. Leave a comment below before Ramadan is over. A comment to get to 200 comments on the video and not much talking. Keep going. Disaster was unfolding, but even in the chaos, people took part in rescue work. The ship was, eventually saved by the island's coast guard. Folks from Giglio and some volunteers joined in the operation as well. People were, thankfully, also saved. They let survivors stay in their homes on the island, took care of them, and kept them safe. At that time, the ship was desperately needed. The Costa Concordia had tilted 80 degrees, and on the right side it ran aground on a rocky area. There was a rescue operation right in front of Giglio Island. The ship was worked on from about, 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. After dawn, the ship's crack became visible. You could see the person who caused it. You could also see how many lifeboats there actually were, but it was unclear how to send them into the ocean, especially because the ship tilted when it all started. They had to look through the passengers, trying to find out if anyone was missing or not. They discovered 32 individuals who were absent. The survivors were asked, and everyone on the island was questioned so they could find out if these 32 people had a place to stay or if they were gone. Sadly, divers inside the ship found these 32 people stuck in the hallway, drowned. The water reached them faster than anyone else because of the ship's position and their cabins. They got to the water faster than anyone else on the ship. Then, divers found 32 bodies and took them off the boat. The people on board drowned. What happened was, in the lower floor rooms, they were stuck in the water on all sides. None of them could get away, not even the one who stayed inside, because his elevator was stuck. While he was inside, the elevator filled with water. The Costa Concordia disaster wasn't just a human tragedy, it hurt the company financially as well. Costa Cruises lost billions, whether in payouts or reputation during the rescue operations. The first business to go under lost its $612 million ship. The ship became worthless and cost millions more. Costs for rescue and shipwrecks just kept going up. This was the biggest and most expensive rescue mission in history, costing $1,200 million. The costs of recovering the shipwreck were staggering. They put a metal frame under the ship first to raise it up and fill the ship's tanks with, massive buoyancy tanks to keep it from sinking. The ship was floating in the water by September 16th. After the shipwreck was raised in 2013, they finally managed it after a long time. After that, they stood the ship up. They fixed it, but you could still see the damage. The ship leaned to one side on the rocks, a wreck that wasn't going anywhere. The mechanism, pictures and videos showed what mattered before and after the disaster. When the shipwreck was lifted, the buoyancy tanks were taken off its sides for lifting on the steel structure, and the very next day they started pulling the ship to Genoa. The ship got to port and was taken apart completely after selling scrap and spare parts. After the disaster, they started looking for the person responsible. Their investigation aimed to find out who was at fault. At the time, 6 officers were involved, and they went to jail for what happened on the ship. The trial of the ship's captain was, honestly, one of a kind. When asked about the sinking, Ship Captain Francesco said that the ship sank while he was busy saving people, but it was later found out from one of the cameras that the video showed him running around like a maniac trying to get on the lifeboats first. Survivors and investigators found that he was involved with someone that day, taking her out, and he was on the boat. He even talked about the ship while eating dinner with her. The only good thing that happened started to go wrong. When the ship started, the captain did this. Of course, he took it back to Giglio Island when it sank to help the rescue teams. He got 16 years in prison for saving the people on board, negligence, unintentional manslaughter, and leaving someone behind. About the passengers, and after the case, Italian public opinion got people talking, and now everyone wants him to go to jail, and Costa Concordia, his boss, gave survivors $13,000. A quick math problem shows just how much Costa Concordia lost. Because of the disaster, it went over $2 billion. The company lost $1 billion, but it got back on its feet, rebuilding its reputation with payouts and by replacing all of the company's leaders. Costa Cruises is now moving forward. It all ends with the newest and best ships, but still, this was one of the worst recent maritime disasters. The modern Costa Concordia set sail, and a dream became a nightmare, a disaster that could have been avoided. If the rules had been followed, it would have been avoided, but the changing course, unfortunately, led to even more mistakes. The result, 32 victims, and a ship that cost hundreds of millions of dollars and was ultimately scrapped. But do the two captains really? The captain should spend 16 years in jail. Write to me, I'll respond to all of the comments below. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe so we can get to 50,000.